What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Shawn.
And we are speaking the language of bromance. And Shawn, I just want to tell you I think you're great. I'm proud of everything you do. You're welcome.
Oh, you're going to make me cry.
I know.
Is something wrong? Are you okay?
No.
Is something wrong with me?
No, start crying. Face me when you do it.
Oh, Richard. So that's a good segue because we were talking about this the other day. Let's start this story from the beginning. We'll do a little Tarantinoing of it. A little bit. So, Richard.
A smidgen.
We found out this past weekend that who's my drunk dial? You know, like everybody has that drunk dial. You know, sometimes it's an ex. Sometimes it might be your mom. Maybe it's your wife. Richard, Who's my drunk text? Who's my drunk call?
Apparently, it's me.
It is.
It is. When Shawn gets a little tipsy and it's midnight, 1 a.m, who starts getting texts and calls? Actually, not really. You haven't called me for a while, but you'll text me usually. But you haven't called me for a while.
I think texting, I'm always like, when I'm drunk, I'm like worried. I'm like, oh, he's going to be annoyed, so I'll just text him. Whereas if I call, you're going to wake up and be like, what the fuck are you doing? But Richard, so we'll leave that little tidbit there. But this leads into a bigger story as well. But this past weekend, Tiffany and I went on an adults only, because there's no kids here for this, float trip. And I don't know if anybody, any listeners have ever been on a float trip.
As I say, you might have to explain that to some people because some people probably don't know what this is.
In the Midwest, float trips are huge. Essentially what they are, you go to a campsite, you get drunk, you wake up the next morning, you get in a tube on a river, and it's not like whitewater rafting. It's exactly what it is. You float. You're going very slow.
You sit on an air tube and you float down a river.
Yeah, for
the whole time you're yelling at other people.
Yep.
And you're trying to stay as close to the inner tube that has all the drinks in it.
Because the other thing is, you're drunk the night before. What do you got to do the next morning? You got to get drunk while you're on the river.
Yeah, you got to hurry. Hurry before the hangover gets you.
Yeah, the keys to a float trip, lots of drinks.
Yeah.
Lots of drama. Probably a fight or two.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quintessential float trips.
Yeah.
So
good times.
This is the second
easiest way to break up a relationship.
Ooh, easiest way to break up friendships too, really. You got to be very careful on that. So this is the second year we went with the same group, and last year I kind of did the same thing, but not as bad as I did this year. I pulled my penis out. No, I didn't. I wanted to, but I didn't. Because
really?
I mean, it's float trip. No, not really. Because I always get worried.
Let's see if this will float. Oh, it does. Must be lighter than the water. Hey! I mean, it's true, but hey!
No reason to be rude about it. The water's cold. It's 98 degrees. Wait, you got 98 degrees playing? No, that's the water temperature. Oh. It sucks having a small pee-pee. But so last year I did this a little bit, but not so bad that I didn't feel like shit the next morning. But Richard, I have this mental game in my head where if I show up and there's a group of drunk people, group of drunk friends, I don't know if it's my heart, my liver, my body, what it is that says, oh my God, Shawn, you need to catch up.
Yeah.
You know, you show up, it's 9:00 at night, everybody's already pretty shit-faced. Like, they're an hour and a half away from passing out. But your body's like, oh my gosh, consume as much alcohol in the next 15 to 20 minutes so you can be as drunk as everybody else.
Yeah, I call it chasing the dragon.
Oh, that's a good way to put it, chasing the dragon.
Yeah.
Because even if you catch it, you lose.
Yeah.
So, Richard, I show up, everybody's a little drunk. I'm like, all right, days ago, Richard, I told myself, I said, Shawn, you're going to go here, just have a few drinks, like a light buzz.
Sure.
Don't feel like shit the next morning, because that's no fun. Don't get sick.
I feel like the catching up thing is an age thing, though, because I don't do that anymore. Like, I don't feel the need to like get on everybody's level.
Yeah, it's so and I was thinking about this. So the reason, and I feel like this time really kind of solidified, like I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So there's a couple reasons why, and this is kind of a tale of like, oh shit, maybe not that. Like I'm not going to come out as like an alcoholic in this because I'm not, but it's definitely like the moment that something happens in this, I'm like, you know what, like you might want to just do a little bit more thinking before you jump into these things. But to me, I think the reason that I feel like, oh my God, I got to catch up, it comes from when I was younger. Like everybody I hung out with was 21 or 22 when I was still like 18 or 19. So I constantly kind of felt left behind. Because you remember when we worked at the sports bar, for a little bit, there was like a group of us that were like in our 20, 19, kind of in that age. So, you know, we would have like a house party kind of thing. Like we would go to somebody's house and, you know, everybody would drink there. Yeah. And so I felt like I was involved. But slowly those people kind of started turning 21. It's like, well, fuck you guys. We're going to the bars. Yeah. And I was like, but I can't go to the... Oh, they don't care. Okay. So I wonder if like part of that, and I always worked late too. So a lot of times I'd show up to places and people are already kind of drunk. So I think I've kind of been trained that I have to hurry up to catch up a lot because I'm kind of like late to the party, even in like turning 21 and like legit late to the party. So we show up, Richard. It's 9:00. You know, everybody's pretty shit-faced drinking. They're like, hurry up, get some booze. Let's do this. I was like, yeah. So I have quickly down one beer. It's a Soul beer. You know, it's not like I'm drinking Bud Light. I'm not a savage. And I'm like, oh, that was really good. So I drink a second one. And I get, you know, like, so I have like 2 beers in like maybe a 15 to 20 minute window, which isn't bad. Like, you know, that's probably where, you know, I could probably have another beer and, you know, maybe a shot and I'll feel good. Oh, I forgot. I did have a shot. I had a Fireball shot. Oof. So Fireball, a couple beers.
That's rough.
But the problem is you're kind of playing that chasing game at that point. Like, when's the booze going to hit?
Yeah.
So I get the 2 beers, get the Fireball shot down. I'm starting on my 3rd beer, not feeling anything yet. And that's the other problem too. You're like, oh shit, I'm not getting drunk yet. Gotta drink some more. Well, somebody's passing around a bottle of tequila. They're like, you don't look drunk enough yet. Here, drink this. And it's like, it's the enough of drunk.
What are you doing?
I know, right? Oh,
you've mentioned like 3 different things. And
yeah, I know.
Like, like just listening to you makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah, wait until I add the frosting on this cake, Richard.
Oh, God.
Because that frosting ends up on the ground in the middle of the night. So they pass around that bottle of tequila. And again, like, I'm not feeling it. This has probably been like maybe 35, 40 minutes. So I take like 2 big chugs out of it.
Yeah.
And then I hand it to Tiffany. And like after the 2 chugs, I'm like, this probably wasn't a good idea.
Yucky.
But I was like, that didn't taste bad. And so I hand it to Tiffany for reassurance, and she takes just a little swig. I'm like, okay, it's probably fine. Maybe about 15, 20 minutes out of this, like I start getting like, oh, here it comes. It's bubbling up. I'm like, and at this point, like the party's starting to die off one at a time. It's kind of like a Hunger Games type situation. Like, it's like, where'd this person go? Where'd this person go? And if you ask, I learned not to ask anymore.
Did you think of it as Hunger Games, and then without being prompted, did you just stand up and be like, I offer myself as tribute?
Here it comes. Somebody play my song. Doo-doo. Doo-doo.
And everybody's like, what are you, what?
Sir, this is a McDonald's. So,
no, I'm tribute.
I don't know if you want you to call it a Mick tribute. I don't care. But one by one, Richard, you're seeing these people fall and like disappear. And again, I said I've learned not to ask because that gives you a reference of time for good or bad. If you're like, where'd so and so go? It's like, well, they went to bed like 45 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You're like, well, what time is it? It's 2 a.m. Or it's like, well, wait, what time is it? It's 9:30. You're like, oh, well, this is gonna be a rough one. So after there's
this
like
will end well. I can feel it.
So 4 or 5 people end up like going, like there's only like 4 or 5 of us still up, and like, you know, again, if you ever go to a float trip at a campsite, the other thing you'll notice, and you got to be careful with this because it can end bad. I'll tell you this story, and I'll tell you a side note story about Tiffany on her very first float trip. So, you know, float trips, there's campsites all over. And you're pretty much kind of piled on top of each other. Like you're within 15 to 20 feet of other people.
Yeah.
And so Mr. Jose Cuervo's like, let's go wander. Let's go meet some people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do. I'm wandering, and there's like these kids playing. And I say kids because they were legit like 23, so like 10 years my younger.
Yeah.
So when I'm like, I'm 33, they're like, all right, old man, here, drink this. What is this? Everclear?
White Claw.
Here, smell this. What's that? Chloroform. So that was cool though. They had a cool game they were playing.
What's that smell? Axe body spray. Here, have a White Claw. I don't know. That's what 23-year-olds do now, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But they were playing. You've played beer pong before, right? Or know of it?
Yeah.
They were playing.
How old do you think I am?
I've never thought of you as a drinking game guy.
You know beer pong, that game. Did you play it with rocks? I mean, the balls, they bounce.
I mean, there were pebbles, right?
Yes, I understand.
But they were playing it with like a big squishy foam ball and 5-gallon buckets.
Well, see, they're not playing it right.
I would be better at this because it's more like shooting hoops. That'd be up my alley.
So it's like cornhole.
No, not really. I mean, it's just like beer pong except bigger. But when I get up there, I'm like, well, that's cool. It's like, I got next game, and they're like, whatever, old man. So I was talking to a couple of the guys, and they're like, hey, you want a drink? I'm like, sure. And they hand it to me. I'm like, what is it? They're like, Jaeger.
Oh,
yeah. So
what is the matter with you, Shawn?
No, yeah.
You're in your 30s now. Like, there's nothing. I'm saying, like, there's nothing left to prove anymore.
I wasn't trying to prove anything. My brain was just like, this is.
I think you were. Like, there has to be something. The only reason people drink Jägermeister is to show people that they can drink Jägermeister. That's it.
Yeah.
Who drinks it? Nobody drinks it for the taste. Nobody drinks it because it's just so darn smooth. Nobody drinks it because, they want to look cool. Like,
you drink Jaeger to have because first off, it gets you messed up quick. The Jaeger taste in the morning is like one of the most disgusting tastes in the world.
Fuck Jägermeister.
Ugh.
Fuck that German deer.
But
right in its horrible asshole. Which
my brain at this point was like,
tastes like.
Was like, sure, just take a swig. So I take a swig. And I don't know how long this has been. It's probably like 45 minutes. And this is where things start to get blurry, Richard.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's it. That was the frosting on the cake.
Black.
We're chit-chatting a little bit more. I get a second drink out of them. And at this point, like, my wife and her friend were just kind of standing behind me. Like, probably like, please fall into one of these buckets and drown. I don't think I was being obnoxious, though.
Is there a puddle anywhere?
Roll him in it.
Just tip him forward.
So I'll jump back a little bit. So we're kind of bouncing around. But Tiffany, on her very first float trip, she didn't get drunk. And she had a friend that she was going with. And they had somebody wander into their group who I guess was like I don't know if he was a real MMA fighter or if he was just like training to be an MMA fighter. Or it was just a dude that liked to fight. But apparently he was hanging out with them. He's like, oh, I need a ride back to my place. So Tiff's like, all right, well, I'll give you a ride. And her friend went with them as a guy friend. And so her guy friend sat in the front seat, and the dude got pissed about it and pulled him out of the front seat. I don't remember if it was after he dropped him off or what, but started beating the shit out of him. Yeah, like I said, fights at float trip. This wasn't happened to me. I wasn't there. This was years ago.
You know what was probably involved? Jägermeister.
Jaeger. Oh, I guarantee it was. So Tiffany, all pissed off about this, grabs a metal flashlight from her car and starts to beat the shit out of the guy beating up her friend.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then that guy's wife comes out and is like, stop hitting my husband. And Tiff's like, he's fucking hitting my friend. Whack, whack, whack. So let's just say that my night did not end like that. Thank goodness. So
you didn't end up, nobody hit you with a flashlight?
That I'm aware of. So this is where the night gets exciting. So we get back to, we were going to stay in our friend's camper. So we're going to be inside. We weren't in a tent on our own or anything. And this is the point where I'm like, oh, because the one thing that I'm really proud of myself about drinking, I'm really good about knowing when I'm going to throw up. Like,
okay,
in a car, in a house, like I'm usually like there's only been like maybe once or twice that's hasn't turned out the greatest, but I can almost always make it to a bathroom or make it outside.
Yeah,
like, I'm not.
I think I can do that. I can do that. I also have this weird sense that I know I can have this sense of like 20 minutes before like the alcohol really hits me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like where you're sitting there and you just like, like I have this instinctual, like it hits me like a wave. I'm like, in 10 minutes, everything's going to go horribly wrong. In 10 minutes, all that, like, I'm fine now. And 10 minutes from now, I will be drunk. That's when it'll happen.
I have the opposite where 20 to 30 minutes afterwards, I'm like, oh, shoot, I drank way too much. Hey, you want some more Jaeger? Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong. There's nothing I can do to stop it. I just know when it's coming.
The forecast is showing stormy, and I can't get out of the way of it.
Exactly. I'm like a meteorologist for my own fucking lack of sobriety.
What you see over here is what's going to be where I throw up.
And I know, okay, so this is a very dangerous game to play, but the last time that I really happened to me and I kind of pushed it was I was like on one side of town and like my car was there and everything. And I knew right there, I was like, 10 minutes, everything's going to go bad. And so I was in mid-conversation with somebody. I was in mid-conversation and all of a sudden I stopped and I was like, hey, I have to go right now. And I walked to my car and drove home. And I was like, hurry. And it was like a 5-minute drive to my house. But I get to my house. And as soon as I go inside, I was like, here we go. And on the bed.
But so we're outside. And again, I knew I was like, all right, you're going to throw up. Like I just knew it. And I hate too, because I feel like there's a little part of me. Like, so you have drunk fun stuff going on. But then there's the part of you that like realizes like you fucked up. And that's the person that has to deal with all the drunk throwing up.
Yeah.
Like drunk fun Shawn's gone. He's like, all right, I'm going to bed. All right. Reasonable. You know, Shawn, you're taking over now. And so Tiffany is like, let's get in the camper and let's go to bed. I'm like, I'm gonna stay out here a little bit because I feel like I'm gonna get sick. Because the other thing I don't want to do is throw up in our friend's camper. Like,
no, totally.
That's not gonna make this trip start off well at all.
No, 100%. Like, ideally, you want to throw. Ideally, if that's what's gonna happen, you're gonna want to be like in the woods. Or at least like some distance away from the camper.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm starting to wander. And Tiffany's like, all right, well, I'm going to go inside. But then that's when I drunk dial you. Because I tried to send you a picture earlier. And I sent it to you like a day or two later. It wasn't anything inappropriate. Just a picture of my face. This was like right when like the fog was starting to roll in. So I call you. I'm like, hey, Richard.
Now, okay, wait. To set the stage for that, let's bear in mind that so this is around midnight. In fact, I think it was midnight exactly, like midnight on the button.
So we'd been there for 3 hours. Roughly. And
my phone rings and it's Shawn. So I answer the phone and I say, hey, buddy.
I say, hey, Richard, I'm going to throw up.
Yep, that was it. That's exactly what you said. You're like, hi, bud. And I said, hey. And you said, I'm going to throw up. And I said, well, put the phone down. Otherwise, you're going to throw up on your phone and that won't be good. And you said, okay. And then you hung up.
So at this point, Richard, I wander over to a tree right on the edge of our campsite. And Tiff's like, come inside. I'm like, no, I'm going to stay here for a little bit because I'm going to get sick. She's like, all right. She goes inside.
What possessed you to call me, though?
So I do remember looking at that picture I tried to send you, and it didn't go through because service was spotty.
Yeah.
So my guess is in my head is like, oh, I should call Richard because my picture didn't go through.
And I should call him and tell him about the picture I wanted to send him.
So Tiffany goes inside, and about 15, 20 minutes later, she peeks her head out, and I'm not by the tree.
Uh-oh.
So, like she said, she's like, oh, fuck, he's wandered off somewhere. So she comes out, and I am laying flat on my belly next to this tree. Like I'd sat myself down. And this was one of those drunks.
Not in the throw up, right?
No, I don't think I had thrown up yet.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't really eat much, so I think all I was throwing up was just more like liquid and bile.
For the record, I'm glad you decided to go on your belly.
I know, it's smart, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So she comes
Foresight.
out, and this was the kind of drunk where like you can't move your body. Like it was pretty bad. And so she comes out, she's trying to get me in there. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, just leave me here. Like, when you just float without me tomorrow too, just leave me here. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, pretty much. And so she goes to like one of the other campsites, and she's like, I'm looking for a new husband. No, she goes over to the campsite.
And then there was this MMA fighter that's like, I'll fucking do it.
So she asked, like, hey, can anybody help me get my husband, like, to a shower or into the camper? And I guess a guy came over, and I do remember him standing there, and was like, trying to get me up. I'm like, just leave me out here. And he's like, well, I've been there before. Probably just leave him here. So at this point, she decides to go back inside and just leave me there for the night.
Yeah.
Like,
well, because at this point, it's probably like, what, like 2 a.m.?
She said she tried for an hour, so it's probably like 1-ish, 1 in the morning. So
Okay.
yeah, about an hour. I woke up probably 2 or 3 times like shivering. Probably 1 from it being a little bit colder because it's at night, and 2 probably alcohol poisoning. So I wake up again and throw up a little bit, and I pass back out. And at some point, I wake up from shivering.
In the throw up?
I probably slept a little bit in the throw up.
Yeah.
I mean, the tree probably soaked up.
You said yourself you couldn't move.
Yeah. I mean, it was enough that I could roll my head over and kind of push myself up. But at one point, I woke up shivering, and I'm able to kind of push my arms up, which actually probably staying out there and shivering probably helped me burn a lot of that alcohol out of my system.
Uh-huh.
Because, like when you're shivering, like you burn calories to stay warm. So at this point, I'm able to kind of start pushing myself up, and I hear a breeze. I hear some tree movements. At this point, Richard, this is when I remember that when we checked in at the front office, there was a sign, a warning sign, if you will, that said, warning, you are in bear country. Here are the things to not do in bear country.
Okay. I remember you telling me this, and are there, like, is that a thing? I didn't realize there were bears in Missouri.
They've actually started been moving up more and more. They used to be just like right on the border of Arkansas and Missouri, but they're starting to see them kind of more in mid-Missouri. Like the Lake of the Ozarks area, this summer they had a bear down there. Like black bears. So at this point, well, let me back up a little bit because I think that kind of addresses a fear when I like started sobering up. The fear I had as I was throwing up, because my heart was like racing too, probably from the Jaeger and the Red Bulls.
Yeah.
I had this fear, Richard, that I was going to have a heart attack and die.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I don't think there was any legitness to it, but I remember kind of laying there throwing up and being like, oh shit, like if I die, like I'm not going to get to see my kid anymore.
Also, consider this. Say you throw up, right? Okay. And there's the Jägermeister, and you throw up, and the Jägermeister has the deer and thing on the cover.
Yeah.
And remember, like, they always said that back in the day that when they make the Jägermeister, they put deer's blood in it.
Oh, did they really?
That's what I heard. I mean, who knows? I don't know if that's just like an urban legend or whatever. But anyway, so like think about this. You throw up, there's deer's blood in the throw up. Bear smells deer's blood and beelines it. And it's like, oh, all that's here's a human. Oh, well, nom, 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 nom.
Well, the plus side of that, Richard, is I shit my pants. So I didn't. Almost did. Because that's the other thing Tiffany said. She's like, I'm really glad you didn't poop yourself. And I'm like, me too, because it was borderline about to happen. So,
has that ever happened?
Once. And we don't want to talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
It's the other time she almost killed me when I was way drunk. So since we're telling these stories, we might as well go all in. So there's like I said, this doesn't happen a lot. I've
never had that issue, and I'm not saying that to be like, ha ha, you have and I haven't. I'm just like, I don't think I've ever been. Usually, like if I drink way too much, like I'll drink and I'll get happy, and then I'll drink and I'll get like drunk,
mm-hmm.
and then if I go past that point, like. I just want to sleep and that's it.
I gotcha. I've only been so I was thinking about this too because I was trying to be like because I think this was the one of the ones where it's like should I think about if I have a problem? But I don't think I do. Like because going back, this has only happened like 2 or 3 times in my life, and they've been these situations where I try to play some kind of catch up.
Yeah.
So the first time with Tiffany that this happened real bad, we were with a bunch of friends again at a lake. We're at a cabin. And the first night, like they all like partied and had a good time, but like at 8:30, 9 o'clock, Tiffany was like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
I'm like, but we're just starting to like party and have fun. She's like, I don't want to do it. I'm going to bed. I'm like, oh, okay, well, night, everybody. Sulk into bed. This night, everybody was like, yeah, we're kind of hungover. We don't feel like drinking. So Shawn was like, I'll drink for everybody. And I was in a pool pouring my rum. And like with each of the waves, it kind of like shook my hand more and more. I mean, I probably finished a whole bottle of rum by myself. I'm not bragging about that.
Just a little glass. Well, maybe a little bit.
I spilled some in the pool. Let me scoop that up.
I mean, the glass is full. I can't pour it back in the bottle at this point.
So, and that was another good one where like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Tiffany, we gotta go. Something's gonna happen out of my mouth and probably my butt. So we get up to the bathroom. I start getting sick. And this was, like I said, I've probably only blacked out drunk maybe 2 or 3 times, like not much.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of this I don't remember a lot of. But I was on the toilet throwing up, and Tiffany was kind of coming in and out, checking on me.
Yeah.
And like time like puzzled itself like in a Rubik's Cube weird way, because for some reason I saw the future and thought I was in the bathtub. And so I was getting sick, and I'm like, I gotta poop. It's coming out of both ends. And I couldn't stop it.
Oh no.
So Tiffany comes back in, and she's like, hey, Shawn, oh God, like that doesn't smell like throw up. And apparently I had pooped on a towel. So
oh my God, I wish that the world could see your face as you're telling, because you're like, oh, it's like it's like your head's in your hands, and you're just like, oh,
it's
God.
A cautionary tale. And so she and this is the first time I almost died with her caring for me, because not that she tried to kill me, but maybe she did. But so she's like, God damn it. So she rolls me into the bathtub, flips on the shower. And I'm kind of like all over the place. She's like, because at one point she's like, Shawn, you need to get up and get in bed. And I swear to God, I was trying to move and couldn't. And she's like, Shawn, we got to get to bed. I'm like, I'm trying to move. She's like, no, you're not. I'm like, no, I'm literally trying as hard as I can.
No, watch, see?
Are you getting a boner? That's why I'm putting all my pressure. So she put me in the bathtub, flipped on the shower to kind of get me like washed off and cleaned up. And apparently in my rage of flopping around in there, I flipped the nozzle that closed it. And so it was filling up with water. And she was bouncing in and out. So she was on the deck with everybody else while I'm almost drowning.
Oh my
in this
God,
bathtub.
you're going to drown in the bathtub.
Yeah, she said she came in, it was like up to my chest. I think it was probably more like my neck. But apparently she got in there in enough time to save me. Give me mouth. That's the first.
Thank God you married her.
Well, if I wasn't with her, I'd be by myself doing it. So I'd probably be dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, no, you wouldn't. You'd just be in a bathroom covered in vomit and poo.
Yeah. Wake up the next morning. Richard, mistakes were made.
Somebody what happened.
I mean, I just had 2 or 3 beers, and then I drank some Fireball, the whole
And
tequila.
I'm pretty sure all this is mine, but I don't know. And that frightens me. So yeah, if she wasn't around, basically, like you would have just woken up on the floor covered in vomit and poo. You wouldn't have drowned in the bathtub because you wouldn't have been able to make it into the bathtub.
Yeah, no. I probably would have like busted my teeth on something for sure.
Curb yourself.
So back to float trip story. So I'm able to start getting up, and then I have, like I said, I remembered that sign of the bears. So I was like, oh, fuck. Like, that's what's going to happen. Like, a bear's going to come up, nudge me, be like, oh, I mean, this looks edible. Nom, 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 nom. Or the best story would be
why does it smell like vomit and poo?
The best story would be if it like snuggled up with me. Like people came out the next morning, here I am snuggling with this bear.
Yeah.
But
that would have been awesome.
That would have been.
You would have totally been a badass.
Yeah, that would have been
those dudes, like those 23-year-olds that drank the Jägermeister. They'd been like, yeah, that dude's fucking boss.
Don't mess with him. Listen, he was laying with that bear, but he was the big spoon. I'm sure he fucked that bear. That was a boy bear. I know.
And you get up and you're like, yep, just another Saturday. And then you go inside the camper and then you say, Tiffany, hurry, because I threw up and I got puke on myself. And then I woke up and realized I was spooning with a bear, and then I pooped myself.
But so at like 4 a.m, and this is when I start getting up. So I push myself up. I'm like, all right, I'm obviously covered in dirt. I smell like vomit. I have to poop. I did have to poop. I made the trip to make that happen in a safe place. So I didn't have my shoes because we were like right up down for like where there's actual bathrooms and showers. And so I start walking and I come to this rocks, like the gravel rock, like the road. Yeah. Kind of like the Field of Dreams. I come to the edge of it barefoot. I'm like, I can do it. Take one step on it. And I'm like, nope. Shawn, you're going to step on a beer bottle and cut your foot. Go find your shoes. See, I was thinking. Yeah. Went back, found my shoes, made the walk up there, did my business. The showers cost 50 cents, so I couldn't shower, but I washed off a little bit in the sink. Made my way back, took my shirt off because it was gross, snuggled up next to Tiffany and slept for a couple hours, and then woke up the next morning ready for a float trip.
That sounds so, honestly, like the thought of waking up and being like, okay, now let's go sit out in the sun. Like that sounds terrible to me.
We lucked out because it was overcast. It was still pretty warm. The water itself was probably like 75 degrees. So when we got in a spot, like I dunked myself completely under, and it was almost like a cold shower, kind of like sobering you up pretty quick. Well, not really, like really just curing the hangover. I didn't drink it all on the river. I think I had like 2 like Jello shots, and that was it.
Yeah.
But that was like on the way back where I was talking with Tiffany. I was like, my problem is, like we can call it chasing the dragon. For some stupid reason, my brain says, hey, these people are drunk. You need to catch up. I think it's because I think if it's just like a learned thing from my past. It's like, I don't want to be left out of the fun. So I got to hurry up to get myself into the fun zone.
Just don't do that.
I know, right?
Like here's the way I've always, when it comes to any sort of altered state, be it drinking or smoking or whatever gets you off, I suppose. To me, I always look at it as it's like you're flying a plane, like you can't fly the plane like too high because then you can't breathe. And the come down's even harder.
Yeah.
Like what you got to do is you got to take off and you got to get yourself to a cruising altitude. And once you're there, like all you got to do is maintain. You just get up to your cruising altitude and then just fly level, man.
Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do.
Do you know how many drinks it takes for you to get to a spot of to get to that right state?
I
Where
think
like
so.
you feel good, but you're not, there isn't like an out of, like, you're in control, but you're good.
Yeah, I
But
think
you're feeling good.
it's all depends. Like game days, I never feel like crap from game days because I do basically, like you said, I get like a decent little buzz, maintain, and then as the night ends, I kind of come in for a nice soft landing.
Yeah.
But when it's like what this was, it's like we've got like an hour and a half, 2 hours before people start passing out. You gotta get shit faced with them. Not even necessarily shit faced. You just gotta get drunk. And so it's kind of like misgauging, your altitude and mountain and sea level.
Yeah. Also, I would think the fact that you like had like 4 different kinds of booze going on in your belly.
That's the other thing. Yeah. That's like a concatenation of demise right there.
That just sounds like fucking.
Like when people say like, do the 4 wise men. It's like, yeah, you do that and you're going to throw up. It's guaranteed.
Yeah, that just sounds like fucking Satan's shit pit.
Yeah.
What you had in your stomach.
Yeah, I did that. I did create Satan's shit pit, and then it came back out, and it wasn't fun. But like I said, I think it was because the next day I think it kind of dawned on me because I think a lot of it is just I've never got to do like I've never had the partying years of my life. Like when I was younger, like I go to a few, but nothing crazy. And so I think I'm still kind of like trying to make up for missing out on that, if that makes sense.
I mean, I guess, but
not like
relax.
I'm not intentionally doing this.
No,
it's
I know.
It's like a subconscious kind of thing.
I know. I guess I'm just telling subconscious you, like, calm down. Yeah. Like it's fine.
Well, I think I kind of realized that on the float trip because there's like 2 or 3 times people are like, so you guys aren't drinking. I was like, no, I still don't feel good. Nobody cares. Like they don't notice.
No, nobody gives a shit.
And I wasn't doing this for them either. Like
it's not like you're coming on the air tube and like everybody's like, oh God, here comes fucking Buzz Killington.
Yeah. Look at him not doing drinks. What are you, a Puritan? No reason to get all judgmental. I almost got eaten by a bear last night.
By the way, that's 10 Hail Marys.
But yeah, it was, and really the cautionary tale, I think is like what you're saying is like, don't put yourself in those shoes, because like I said,
or no shoes.
Oh, no shoes. Exactly. Cause that's the thing is like, I was scared for a little bit. I was like, holy shit. Like what happens if something happens right now?
I know. I was scared. I was like, my buddy's going to get eaten by a bear.
Yeah. Tiffany was nervous too until she fell asleep.
Until she was like, all right, whatever. Went inside and went to bed.
Yeah, she flipped her phone. Was like, is that insurance policy still good for bear attacks? It is? Okay, good. I'm going to set some of this raw hamburger.
Why are you calling me at 3 a.m, ma'am? No reason.
Hey, babe, it's weird. I threw up raw hamburger. Oh, yeah, that is weird. That's really weird. It was a trail all the way to the woods.
Who are you talking to on the phone? It's Jake from State Farm.
Oh, is it? Let me hear you. Jake from State Farm. Wee! Take my pants off.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm? Khakis. What are you wearing? Bear bait.
But Richard, that led me, with my fear, like what happened if a bear did come up and, like we said, snuggle with me? What happens if it ended up like this Russian man that I won't bury the lead on this because it's kind of interesting, but there's a story out there right now, very recently. A Russian man survives a month in a bear den.
How? What did he eat?
Good question. So here's what happened. So on June 25th, 2019, this is in Russia, the Eurasia Daily, an online publication based in Moscow, published a stunning piece of news. Local citizen Alexander spent a whole month inside a bear den with a broken spine and managed to survive. So you asked.
Dude had a broken spine?
That's what it says. So it says, how was it possible for him to survive? So this is actually unclear. They're saying if this story is true, he must have spent a month in a bear den without food or water, unable to move due to his broken spine.
That's not possible.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. And why did the bear leave him lying
What's
there?
the rule? Isn't it like 7
days without water? I think you can live up to a month without food.
I thought it was like 7 days without food and like 3 days without water.
So it's not much without water.
No, significantly less.
So there's an ecological journalist who was talking to the television, said that when predators kill people, they eat their guts first. So he's doubtful if this even happened, like you said. So this story says,
and because it's your guts, that means when that usually happens, you're usually still alive.
Yeah, not for long though.
Like it's not like they chomp your head off first, or they worry about. They're not really concerned about whether or not you're alive and whether or not, feel pain before you start getting eaten. Yeah, so just imagine that, Shawn. Like they start eating on you, and then it's going to be a good, at least few minutes while you're bleeding out.
Now they do have pictures of this guy, and he looks rough. Like he looks like a zombie. He's like super skinny. His head's all jacked up. And maybe he wasn't there for a whole month, but I bet he thought it was a month.
Must have had like 3 Jaeger shots.
Yeah, so he was found by hunters, and initially the hunters thought that his body had been multiple Jaeger shots. So initially the hunters thought that his body was mummified by the dry air, so they were stunned to find that he was alive. So video shows his face and body were encrusted with dry blood and dirt. His skin was deathly white, and his dull eyes were barely able to open.
Damn.
So here's some information on like how he survived. So Alexander said that he survived by drinking nothing but Jaeger. No.
I knew it.
So it said that he drank his own urine to stay alive while fearing that the bear would come back at any moment to finish him off. Doctors said it was a miracle that he wasn't killed and admitted that they aren't sure how he was able to survive for so long. He was only discovered after a group of hunters passed the cave and their dogs ran inside before refusing to move on. Like I said, the hunters checked on him and they thought he was mummified.
And then he's like, well, I guess the dogs can eat it, right? Holy shit, it's breathing.
This is Russia. Yeah, they don't really talk too much about it except because I don't know if the bear pulled him in I knew about that story too because we're going to do this story. So as I'm laying there in my own puke.
You're laying there all drunk, be like, well, guess I should start drinking my own piss.
So
I guess we've reached that point.
I got my phone. So
then you call me like, hey, buddy. And I'd be like, hey, how's it going? And then you say, I'm going to drink my pee-pee. And then I was like, no, don't do it.
Hey,
no, Richard, I have to survive. I have to survive, so I'll come back to you. And I'm like, no, you don't have to drink your own piss to do it.
Richard, do you know how much bear rent costs? Because I think I'm gonna have to go live with one for a month. No, you don't have. Yeah, I drink Jaeger. There's.
I'm gonna have to bear and bear it.
Is it just like 6 picnic baskets, 7 picnic baskets? I don't know bear math.
Bear math.
But so backing up, so when I called you, you said, "Hey, make sure you put your phone away." While I was laying in the ground, the second time Tiffany came out to check on me, I was like, "Tiffany, get the phone out of my pocket so I don't throw up on it." I remember doing that. So you would put in my noggin a fear of puking on my phone.
Oh yeah, because the thing that I don't think you mentioned is the next day when you texted me and you said you drank too much and everything, and I said, I know, you called me.
Yes, yeah. Because it was the Sunday.
You texted me, you were like, oh, I drank too much. And then I texted back, I said, yeah, you called me. And then immediately you called me and was like, what do you mean I called you? And I said, you called me at like midnight. And you said, hi. Yeah. And I said, hey. And then you said, I'm going to throw up. And I said, okay, well, put the phone down so you don't throw up on your phone. And you said, okay. And then you hung up. And I didn't hear from you for the rest of the night.
Or the next day, because it
That's
was
the
Sunday
other
when I
thing.
texted
So I
you.
get this phone call that says, I'm going to throw up. And I'm like, okay, we'll put the phone down. And you go, okay. And then you just hang up. And then that's it. No more communication for the rest of the night.
Is that why you didn't
I
sleep
could
for
have
2
very
days?
well been the last person that you talked to.
Yeah. Did you not sleep for 2 days? Were you trying to find me? That's so. Oh,
Yes,
Richard. Oh,
that's exactly what happened.
Oh, that touches my heart.
As soon as you hung up, I activated the GPS on your phone because I put a family locator app on there, and I started driving. But by the time I was halfway there to where you were,
it said Shawn checked into an Air Baron bear, and you're like, oh, he's all right. He's just exploring his sexuality.
And so then I turned around and went home.
Oh,
I didn't mention any of that.
I'm gonna send this to Tiffany, because Tiffany was right there.
To feel bad,
and she just went right to bed.
I didn't go to bed. I was in the car.
I'll save you, bro.
Yeah. Please don't let the bear eat my friend.
Oh man, but yeah, it was scary. I'm pretty sure. I think definitely something that I'll probably tell Tiffany if I feel like I'm nervous about it happening. Like, don't let me chase the dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that was the thing, is you don't remember calling me at all.
Yeah, and I was worried too when he said that. That's why I called you, because I was like, hey, what did I talk to you about? Because that's another fear I have. Like whenever, like, so I've drunk texted you sometimes.
What are you? I was going to say, like, what are you afraid of saying?
I don't know. Richard, I want to pull my dick out on the podcast. Like, well, you can.
I mean,
it's audio.
It's audio. Like, mine's out right now.
I don't know. I think it's whenever I get too drunk like that where I don't remember everything. I just get nervous I said something stupid. Because you don't want to be...
I think everybody has this, like, inherent, like, they're immediately filled with, like, this sense of dread when somebody says, you know, like, say, you know, when, like, they drink a bunch and then the next day someone's like, hey, do you remember when you blah, blah, blah? And then you have, like, zero recollection of it at all. Like, the thought that you're doing stuff and have absolutely no memory of any of it. Like, that's kind of freaky.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm not a fan of that. Because again, that's how you can say something stupid. And I'm not like, the best thing ever too is like, I'm usually a fun drunk. I've never been a violent drunk. Because obviously if I was a violent drunk, I would not drink at all. So I never worry that like I did something violent. I worry more like I pulled my dick out, or I was like grinding up on somebody I shouldn't have been. Yeah. Or being a little too frisky when I shouldn't have been. Because there was a party we went to, and I didn't remember this, but we were playing beer pong, and it was a white trash bash, so I had super short shorts on. And Tiffany's like, do you remember playing beer pong? I was like, no, not really. She's like, yeah, you were dancing all up on one of her friend's wife or whatever. Or she was dancing up on you, and she was like trying to like grab you in places. And I was like, no, I don't remember that at all. She's like, yeah, I was looking at her husband and he was looking at me, and she's like, well, they're having fun. And you're like, they're not having much more fun.
Yeah. And then you're like, well, what'd you do? And then she's like, well, that's not important. You're like, what do you mean that's not important?
I wasn't drunk, Shawn. Oh, okay. Wait a second.
This sounds very important.
Yeah, and that's kind of a cautionary tale why I wanted to talk about it too. Because one, it's kind of funny, the fact that I slept next to a tree and nothing bad happened. But two, it's just kind of a reminder for everybody out there is like, you know what? Sometimes one less is enough.
Yeah. And bring a buddy.
Oh, bring it up. Yeah. So I guess that's a good question. I've never been that drunk with you, or you've never seen me that drunk. What would you have done in that situation?
Oh, I would have gotten you in the camper.
What got me in the camper?
I would have gotten you in the camper regardless.
So would you have hung out until I could get myself in?
No, I probably just would have like slumped you over me and like carried you.
Carried me by my feet and pulled me in. Thunk, 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 thunk.
And I probably would like just like kind of like lurched you up onto my back and then just kind of walked you in.
Yeah. That seems like that.
And then you would have probably protested heavily, but then I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, I probably would have thrown up on you.
Probably.
You're like, this is your fault, Shawn. Like, I wanted to stay by the
I want to stay by the tree, but no.
Someone wants to be the big spoon.
Yeah, but I mean, I honestly, I think that you would have been fairly compliant because you don't get argumentative.
No, if I probably wouldn't want to stay out there just to get sick. Again, if like we were in our tent, I probably would have tried. Well, no, I couldn't have tried any harder.
I mean, if you were like super adamant, I would have at least brought you closer.
Yeah, I see. Well,
so that way, like, I could get up, like, open the door and be like, okay, there he is, and then shut the door again.
Yeah, that probably would have been the safest. I had thought, because I was so cold, because I had a t-shirt and shorts on, I thought about army crawling to where the fireplace was that they couldn't make a fire for because the wood was too wet. But I was like, maybe there'll be some warmth. Like, that's the only thing I wish you would have done is, like, thrown a blanket on me. That would have been nice. But the other thing, I mean, I don't know if you've ever slept in an RV or a camper.
No, nobody's going to throw a blanket on you because that encourages you to stay out there.
But so campers, like the beds in those are not really comfortable. They're pretty much more just for like a spot to lay. And I remember the night I finally got in there after drinking, like I crawled in the bed. I'm like, oh my God, this is the most comfortable bed ever. Because I was just sleeping on the hard ground. The next night when I crawled into bed, it's basically a piece of plywood. Is all it was with a little bit of foam. I'm like, this is super uncomfortable. This was more comfortable when I was drunk.
Where's that Jägermeister? I want my bed to be comfy again. Glug, 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 glug. That's better.
I need the fireball to top it off. Glug, glug, glug. Satan's pit of hell.
Nope. Feels like a 600 thread count. Glug, 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 glug. There's the Egyptian cotton.
Oh, there comes the vomit.
Meanwhile, it's just like a piece of wood covered with gravel.
Yeah. Have you ever passed out outside before?
Yes.
Okay.
Was I left out there? Yeah. But to be fair, I was in somebody's yard, so I was close to the house.
Yeah. And I mean, I was like right next to the RV too.
And I got kicked awake and then taken directly to work. That's fun. Because I had to be there at like 6 a.m.
That sounds horrible.
No, it was rough.
Yeah. But
luckily I was in my 20s, so it wasn't that bad.
I say, and like, I want to make sure it's clear, like the tree I was at was literally like maybe 10 feet from the camper. Like you walk out the camper, turn, walk like 10 feet, and there I was. So I was really, really close.
Oh, okay.
And I was
see, if you were that close, I might have left you. But no, I would not have brought you a blanket. Because like I said, that encourages you to stay there.
Yeah, that's true.
If the goal I would have would be to make you uncomfortable so that way you get up.
Yeah, which it did. Like the third time when I was able to actually get up, I got going. And I was between two tents from people going on the trip with us. And the next morning, everybody's like, except basically Tiffany had no problem telling everybody I passed out by the tree.
Tent.
Pretty much, they're like, wait, that was you we heard puking all night? We felt bad for you. We're like, that guy, he's having a rough night. But
God, we can hear him, and he's all the way in that camper.
But Richard, again, it's a cautionary tale. Be cautious out there. Drink responsibly. Hopefully, I don't have any more of these stories. I'm sure it'll happen because it just kind of does.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think this should be time for, not Richard's closing thoughts. I think this should be time for
Shawn's closing time.
Yeah, Shawn's message of the podcast.
Oh, take it slow. I mean, don't try to be a hero. If you chase the dragon, if you're trying to play catch up,
get burned.
Yeah, just take, you finish that one beer really, really quick. Just sit on it for a few minutes. Somebody offers you that bottle. If you take a swig of it, sit on that for a few minutes. And actually, don't mix your alcohol. That's the key.
Yeah.
But
And if you do, you gotta like it's okay to mix, but not mix and mix and mix. Like if you're gonna transition from one thing to another, okay, but once you've transitioned, stay there.
Yeah. Yeah, the worst I've ever had, I think, is when I've shifted stuff. Like beer and liquor, if I do both of those, that's usually pretty bad. But if you add a third in there, beer, liquor, and another liquor, it's dunzo.
That's what I'm saying.
And this is, honestly, too, this is not to like brag about this, because this was not brag worthy. It's kind of embarrassing. It's a cautionary tale. I think it should be documented for future references.
Also, don't drink Jägermeister. That should I think that should just be like a universal piece of advice. Well, no, I'm not going to say don't drink Jägermeister. I'm going to say don't drink Jägermeister if you are over the age of 28.
All right, well, I'll do a little bit of housekeeping. Visit our website. We're at languageofbromance.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at languageofbro. Email us at bros@languageofbromance.com. Like us on Facebook and go out get some LOB merchandise. You know, like maybe one of our LOB hoodies. So if you end up outside next to a tree, you'll have a little bit of warmth. Just go to our TeePublic store and search for Language of Bromance.
You're like, I don't need your fucking blanket. I got a hoodie.
Yeah, I've got this awesome Lucy 666 one with this fire pit that's keeping me all warm. Oh, there comes the fireball. And remember, if you don't want any hoodies, shirts, or any magnets or anything like that, you can always join our Patreon. It's at patreon.com/languageofbromance. Thanks everybody that jumps on that. Helps us out tremendously. And we're also part of the Pod Bros Network.
The podcast network that you would love to float trip with.
Yeah, it's the podcast network that it's okay to mix.
There you go.
All right. Was there anything else before I close her out?
No.
All righty.
You need to go get some sleep.
I do. All right. Well, that's all the bonus we have for this show. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Richard.
And remember, don't be a why. Be a why.
Be a why not. Unless you're drinking, and then definitely ask yourself why.
Somebody's like, hey, why don't you take this shot of Jaeger? You're like, no, thank you. They're like, why not? Because I've already had a bunch of other liquors, and I'm over 28 years old.
Nailed it. You want this Jaeger? Why? Ask yourself why.